Hello, friends. Erin from Hailing Frequencies Open here. Before we jump in today, a quick content warning. Today's episode is for adult audiences only. I, myself, was too young to participate in this conversation. We're advising listener discretion because we, and by we, I mean my tawdry counterparts, will be discussing the adult entertainment industry. They're going to have a really frank discussion about sexuality, and I mean they're gonna get real dirty with the sexy talk. So you've been warned. Just if you have little ears around you, put in earplugs, and please, for the love of God, do not listen to this at work where your co-workers can hear you. We are not responsible for what happens next. Thank you and enjoy the conversation.
Hail. Hailing frequencies open, sir.
Hailing frequencies open.
I don't know why I keep giving alien street food a chance. It's always such a gamble.
Captain, we're being hailed.
On screen.
Hello and welcome to another Hailing Frequencies Open podcast where we are trekking through the past and future of Star Trek. As always, I'm your host, Mike Jones, and joining me today are two of my co-hosts. First up, he's the reason that Boimler hates to clean out the holodeck filters. It's Damien.
Hi, Mike. Thank you for that. I stand by that.
Excellent. And she's still mad that Damien has replaced her tricorder with overly ripe bananas. It's Lanita.
Yo, yo, yo. Hello, everybody.
You can say brown banana. It's called a
It's
brown banana.
it's a brown banana.
She hates brown
Sometimes
bananas.
I hate brown bananas. Sometimes they weep.
Oh, God. I'm also very excited about today's guest. He's a bit of a celebrity in the Trek fandom community and has special insight into today's topic. Joining us all the way from Ireland, we've gone international, y'all. Please join me in welcoming Sean Ferrick. Hi, Sean.
Hi, how are you getting on? And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. We are getting on great.
Excellent. This makes me very happy. In December, this quietest time of year.
It is. It's a hectic, busy time of year, but I'm glad that we found time to sit down and talk about the naughty things that we want to discuss today. So you've seen the episode title, you've heard the disclaimer. I think we can speak freely. Today, we want to take a look at how Star Trek has appeared in the adult entertainment industry. We'll look at the long history of pornographic content that pays an homage to Trek, as well as ask why this kind of fantasy content has endured over the decades. But before we jump into that, I think we should get to know our special guest a little bit. When we decided to cover this topic, I could think of no better person to join us. You may know Sean as the risque cosplayer Alt Trekkie on X. I don't know why I'm calling it X. Or you may recognize him as a voice in the larger Trek Online community. Or maybe, like me, you subscribe to his OnlyFans. My first question for you is, what is your Star Trek meet cute? How did you discover Trek?
It's really funny because, first of all, thank you very much for your subscription. Like, seriously, thank you. And thank you everyone who subscribes. Like, I am not speaking hyperbole when I say every single person makes a difference. So thank you so much. And it's so funny because the way I met Star Trek is so not on brand with this episode. It's I was knee high to a grasshopper, and it was my dad was long time fan. He'd been a fan since Kirk's Enterprise, and it was on in the house. We watched. I was watching, although I don't remember it very well. I was watching Next Generation on first airing, and we were. I think it was BBC or one of the channels was doing reruns of the original series. So I pretty much had it all watched by the time my first Trek in the cinema came out, which was Generations.
Oh yeah.
And I vividly remember that day. I nearly had heart failure in the car park when Dad pulled out. Remember ticket stubs? And do you remember, when you had to do that? Yeah. And Dad had in advance gone and bought the tickets to the cinema and was like, and so we pulled this out, and awesome. there was a child just having a complete meltdown. Hadn't even seen the film at this point, and I was just having a meltdown in the car park. So it's kind of always been there. And then, watched DS9, Voyager. Now, I was bold I was one of those people who I did 2 seasons of Enterprise. And then it was around 2003, and I was too cool for this Star Trek thing. I was off in, I wasn't in college in 2003. I was off in school, and I had Buffy to be watching, even though Buffy finished the year I stopped watching Enterprise. But anyway, and things like that. And then college happened, and I went off, and I realized, oh, hang on, I missed Star Trek. And I went back to it again, and 7 out of 9 doctors all agree that I have a pathological need for Trek. So I've just made it every part of my life.
I love hearing that you had this, because I feel like I also had this moment of like when I moved to New York City and went to college, where because I was similarly raised on it, and it was like, I'm actually maybe too cool for this. This is like hokey and campy, and like I've discovered like Theodore and Chekhov and the other Chekhov.
The other Chekhov.
And of course, thankfully found my way back similarly.
Excellent. Cool.
Sean has done more Enterprise than you.
Oh, this is true.
I
get abused a lot
out
for my lack of Enterprise knowledge. I'm sorry.
Well, look,
I'm sorry to everybody
knowledge
for that.
watching.
I too was both. I mean, I'm here. I'm the reformed pastor trying to bring you back into the flock. It does get so much. I will say it gets so much better, because let's be honest, it does. But it does make retroactively watching it better as well.
Yeah.
So now are you going to do it? Sean said it. Now you're going to do it? Because I've been trying. I've tried. I keep trying. No.
Dee and I have had this conversation in many different directions. Like, she refused for years to watch Doctor Who, and then now all of a sudden she's made it to David Tennant, and she says, "Why have you been keeping this from me?"
Hey, listen, I'm in. I'm a completionist, so that I've started, and I'm going to finish, and then I'm going to go back to figure out who the old people were, because I'm on, what's his name, eye sockets. He's got very deep set eye sockets. He plays Prince
Matt Smith.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
That is where I am. So and he said number 11. So I've only seen 2 others. So I've got 7 to watch.
It's true. To know your history. I have a similar to everyone who's spoken so far, history with Trek and with Doctor Who. I dropped off somewhere in Peter Capaldi, and it wasn't that I felt I was too cool. He wasn't my favorite Doctor, and I didn't have it. Like, it's kind of hard to get here, like if you don't have the right streaming service, or it's airing on weird, so I was having to like torrent it, and then I just stopped, and then I haven't caught back up yet. So, but the 60th anniversary sounds amazing. So I have some catching up to do.
How do you think about it? There's a wealth of there's bright lights in your future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So the next logical question is, how then did you become involved in the Star Trek fan community once you, because you're active on Twitter, you're on YouTube, like how did you jump into that once you decided you weren't too cool for it?
For a second, I thought you honestly were going to go like, moving on from the 6-year-old having a meltdown in the car park, how did porn come into your life? Sorry, I thought that's where that was going to go. I was just like, whoa,
we want to get the middle
similar transition.
We want to get the middle too.
Ease it in, just the tip.
Good. Moving on. Also something I've said in that situation, but so it was honestly it was so my Trek obsession kind of returned guts of maybe 10 or more years ago now, but it really took wing with lockdown, because I had more time. I was still working, so I wasn't going out, I wasn't spending money on this and that, and it was like, oh look, they do models now, do they? So by the way, if anyone would like to come to the Museum of Eagle Moss Models, it's here in my house. And then around the same time, so I think it was around Picard's first season, there was stuff happening online that sort of suddenly now there was a place to go, and there was a place to find people to talk to. And back before it was, hell's waiting room, Twitter was a really nice place to get to know people and kind of build this community. And again, having the time, because I'd always put off, I mean, I was never good on social media. Back on, I had a Facebook, that kind of thing. Even before that, I had a Bebo. I'm retro.
Bebo.
Yeah, no, we didn't do AOL over here. We did like Bebo and MSN Messenger. I think you probably did have MSN.
Yeah.
Oh, we
Yes.
did
we've had
MSN.
that.
Oh, yeah, had MSN chat.
Yeah.
Sure did.
So yeah, and everyone absolutely was the ASL that they said they were.
Of course.
So honest. Back when people were honest online.
The kids these days don't even know what that stands for. They say it and they don't even know what it means.
ASL. Okay. Well, 35, male.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you
Right.
talking about?
You asked.
But yeah, and that was sort of one that snowballed, and I think having the time meant it could snowball. So that suddenly I could go, and I mean, these sites are not particularly difficult to figure out, but if you've got absolutely anything else going on in your mind at the time, it seems like they're very difficult to figure out. And so it's like, what is a hashtag? What does this mean? You know, how does that person in this country know what Star Trek is? I watch it in Ireland. Surely you don't have it. Things like that. And then, yeah, the community just started to grow. And I suddenly found myself, I don't know why. I was cursed with glorious purpose, which is retain every bit of Star Trek knowledge I've ever read in my life. I don't know why. You know, it took me ages to pass a driving test.
Those brain cells had more important things to do.
See, 100%. We needed Sean to be on our team. He would have been maybe.
Do you know about this, Sean? The Trexperts quiz out of Australia.
I know of the Trexperts quiz.
Yes, we
you're
appeared.
looking at the winner, the undeniable,
I won.
crushed everyone. I got a point. I was happy.
But we only played against one another, and so as collectively we were like, it was a poor showing. It was not. We didn't retain in the sort of detailed way that we were expected to. He just was like this. The poor Davey, the host, was just the entire time was like, oh god.
At one point, someone failed to remember the term Starfleet Academy and said what?
Cadet school.
Cadet school.
Yeah, that was it.
I mean, technically.
Thank you.
There you go.
Correct. It's actually correct. Yeah, it is a school for cadets. Yeah.
There you go.
It's also, I think, a water reclamation plant as well in real life, which I don't know. It just feels fit.
As you're sitting here in this wonderful costume, am I right that you also got into cosplay during the pandemic?
So it was actually, that was just before. So my birthday's quite early in the year. So it's in February, right?
February what? Sean?
February the 26th. I do.
Oh, you just missed the Aquarius. I was going to say hello, brethren, but you're on the other side.
I'm still I would be rusty with these. I believe I am still a water sign though. I am the fish.
Yes, you are a Pisces. I am an Aquarius, but continue on. Yes, birthday early in the year.
That's good. Yes. So as you know, they closed the locks on Earth around middle of March. So, but what I have to do is, so 2020 was on top of many other things, it was a leap year. So I organized my birthday party to be on the 29th of February, and I said, right, the one rule is it's costume party. I always do that. That's my thing, because I think as long as you could have, there could be 100 people in a room, and if even one of them is wearing a costume, they're the one you're going to talk to.
Yes.
Because you've automatically got something to talk about. I thought it's the best icebreaker I can think in a
costume party.
Safe way. It's the best icebreaker in a party of people who don't know each other, because, hi, I don't know you, I've never met you before, but I know who Garfield the cat is. Why did you choose to be Garfield the cat? And there you go. And there is something to talk about straight away. It helps that I was in the drama society in college as well, so I didn't lick this off a stone. So for that, long story medium, I got my TNG Riker, my Red Command one, and I have never felt as snazzy ever in any kind of costume or clothes in general. And it was a nice big hit. Somebody was there as Bones from the Kelvin one as well. That was great. A couple of people homemade some Voyager jumpsuits. Well, it was and it wasn't even particularly a Star Trek themed party. It just happened to be. I thought they knew it was mine, so I'd say that was probably fed into it. And then that was great, and everyone felt great, and we were in pictures, and it was awesome, and everyone was great. And then Earth was closed.
Yeah.
And I was like, crap.
We had that announcement. Do not approach Earth. This is President
Exactly.
Anton
Yes.
Chekhov.
Absolutely. It's like, oh my God, is something happening on Earth? No, it's just a crack den. But I think it was very quickly into lockdown. I just kind of went to the website where I'd got the first one and I went, I'll get this. I don't remember what the next 20 were.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no, I fell hard. Yeah. So the first couple were kind of like my gateway drugs. And I was like, kind of everyone loves a next gen one. And I said, I'll get a first contact one if I can. So I did get a first contact one, and that was great. And then so now it's kind of got to a stage where I've kind of completely unintentionally become there's a new uniform on screen. How does Sean feel about this? Oh,
yes.
Self-inflicted. Well, yeah, and it just steamrolled, and it became just kind of a thing, and I loved it.
Nice.
And then, but what it did leave me with was I have now, I think, 6 or 7 vacuum seal bags of just Star Trek uniforms.
Wow.
Because I was trying to hang them up because I was thinking I've ordered these and I want to use them, but I could buy 4 wardrobes and I wouldn't fit them all. And that is a cry for help. But and now, yeah, so I eventually cracked and got the vacuum seal bags. I moved house in the middle. And I was thinking, the books are going to be the difficult thing to move. I had a couple of bits of furniture. The uniforms.
I gotta say though, the fact that you showed up this evening in the Pike wraparound, I feel seen. I just there's no sexier choice of in the Star Trek cosplay universe, I think, currently.
It's just because everything about this is, hey, come in, take your pants off.
Sure.
Are you, excuse me, Damien, hold on one moment. I'm verklempt. What happened to the white jumpsuit?
Oh.
A la.
Oh, yes. Sorry. The
Dr.
Dr. Culber white jumpsuit.
Thank you.
Yes. I have gone on at length about how, we have had generations of sci-fi babes for straight men.
Right.
And then all of a sudden when we saw Dr. Culber in that white jumpsuit, to me, that was again, like I say, I felt seen. I was like, there is now this is the sci-fi babe for us. And
yes, they put him there for you. It's true. And
it's just like that.
So
I'm shocked.
It's a perfect boot.
It's a perfect booty. It's a perfect booty.
I mean, really.
Yes. I'm shocked you didn't say the scant.
The scant is what I'm commissioning a scant to wear to the convention. Yes, that's true. That is an ongoing. Yes.
I mean, that's very
the
sexy.
Scant is all. Yes, agreed.
And are we all happy? The Scant is back. I'm so happy. Yes. In Strange New Worlds, and it's in Lower Decks. It's back, and I'm so happy because it was. Let's be honest, it had become a bit of a running joke, which is not fair, but it had become a little bit of a running joke because you had, Galactic Barbie Troy. They were shoved into this. I mean, it was not. There was some decisions that were made in season 1 of Next Generation. So decisions we hope will never be made again for many reasons. But it did have the men walking around in scants as well.
Yeah,
which was very, forward thinking, very progressive.
Absolutely.
And then,
didn't work out that way.
Did not work out that way.
Said, no, we don't like that. Men need to be men. Put pants on them.
My favorite thing about the men in scants is if you look at the costume sketches from William Ware Tice's designs, he had the men in scants, but he also had a male uniform that had completely open sides so that you could see their side abdominal muscles.
Side boob.
Super gay design.
We love side boob on a man. I'm here for that.
I mean, you're currently fashioning that today. You said.
I think
that's true.
Maybe I do have a little side boob. Yeah.
And you're seeking Jamaharon in your side boob revealing t-shirt.
Yes, what you can't see is that Mike and I have matching Jamaharon t-shirts with Horgon.
Yeah.
By complete accident.
I was like, wow. I didn't get the memo to get a shirt so that I could wear it and we could all be in sync. But okay.
I will get you a Horgon shirt, Lanita, if you want.
Absolutely.
Yay, me. Thank you.
So trying to thread this needle.
Yes.
So you got into the cosplay, you bought a crap ton of uniforms. When did that transition into being a part of your OnlyFans or your alt Twitter?
So in a way, it's actually really straightforward. It went like it was no kind of side journeys, right? It went ABC. So when I moved home, and it's my first time I've ever lived like properly alone. Tiny violin, please. But no, it's the first time I've ever lived properly alone ever. And so I got here, and I picked the place because it's a little bit off the beaten track. I was like, right, I'm gonna do a big self journey, and I'm gonna work on myself. And so I said, right, I'm gonna lose weight. So that was my first thing. So that, funnily enough, that's what started everything. Is that I got out and I started running, listened to God knows how many audiobooks, and I did. I started losing weight, and then so I started to post my progress pictures on just my bog standard Twitter, not my Twitter, sorry, my Instagram, and turns out people can be very nice sometimes, and there was very, very lovely feedback. And initially it was less about I want to know what you taste like and more you're looking well. I appreciate that, thank you very much, and that helped my confidence build up. Then a little bit of like, oh, I got a new uniform and I threw that up, and then people were like, oh, and then it kind of was like, now wait a minute, now hold on here, is there a way? Because I mean, again, as I say, I have a room. It's like, can I monetize that? And I mean, I've never made any bones about the fact, like, Sean, why'd you start an OnlyFans? Money. Simple as. I've never made bones about it. I'm very transparent about that. So I did the alt Twitter first as a sort of a testing ground. To go like, kind of, does anyone want to see this? And again, lovely feedback, which was really, really nice, which kind of helped me. I felt there was like a step that you have to step over to move into OnlyFans. To be like, all right, that's it. Now I've made a huge life decision, and there's no turning back, which in a way is true, and it's also completely not true. Yeah, there's two sides of it. Sure, I'm probably never going to work, in an educator of teens and under, but I was never planning to anyway. Kind of like when it comes to background checks, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, right, how will this potentially affect my future? And I was going through the list. I was like, there's not really many things that this would worry me. So that, plus the lovely feedback, plus the the floorboards groaning with uniforms, is like, I think I'm gonna jump ahead and give this a go. And models to beat the band, like, I can do little. And literally, I was one of those people. I'd say there's many creators will agree with me that I started like, I know, I'll just do saucy little pictures, and it will never progress beyond that. And that's what I will do. Like, I might even show a little side boob this week. Later that afternoon.
Right.
And it was very straightforward. And again, it was, my confidence was at such a point where one bad comment and I would have deleted the whole thing. That would have just been like, oh, this was a terrible idea. I don't know why I thought this would take off. This was awful. And it would have, because I just didn't have the self-confidence. So to anyone out there who's going, I need to be 100% self-confident to do an alt or an OnlyFans. No, you don't. There will be mean comments, and you just have to remember, it is never personal. They don't know you. Yeah. Sorry, I just step off my soapbox here. Anyway, so smut.
No, we love soapboxes. Soapboxes are great. But here's the other thing.
I've got dozens of them.
They match all of my uniforms. No, it's interesting how you're like, if one, negative comment would have derailed you. It's sort of like, you just have to have the confidence in yourself. Being like, it's not, that comment's not about you. It's about them. Whatever it is that they saw, it's speaking to them. It's not about you. You're like, this is me. I'm giving out what I need to give to the world. And the people who are for you are going to just clamor to you. And those who wish that they could do what you are doing are the ones who are going to be like, ew, pew, boo, boo, boo. Those are the folks who yuck your yum. We're like, damn, I wish I thought about, getting some uniforms and not wearing pants. And
in many ways, it's the easiest thing ever. I just go and get half dressed in the morning. It's great.
Well, and it's funny because this may surprise my friends to know, but I have also been lightly naked on the internet once or twice. in a way that
who's
has
surprised by that?
in a way that
No one on this screen.
No one on
Maybe
this
Sean because
screen.
he doesn't know you, but me.
No,
Why?
but it's amazing how you're like you have these moments of like of what will people think, or like how will this impact my life, or is like you think that it is like this like major like kind of crossover moment. And my whole like little history of this, and no, I do not have an OnlyFans, but
You
uh
could.
I
You
have been
could, Sean.
featured on OnlyFans on other people's.
Sorry.
I'll say that. But that when it comes down to it, people care about their own lives. Like
Yeah.
they don't really care what, and like for the most part, other people don't. And also, and I think that this, and you may have had a similar experience or not, but that having grown up like some kind of nerd or weirdo, you and we all of us have in some kind of way of like that you have some history of being yourself without regard for how other people judge you. So there's like a little, and I don't know if you have experienced some sort of that is like whether that your porn self and your nerd self have had that same experience of like dealing with the perceptions of others.
100%. Because you're right. Like, look, I mean, there's not one of us here is naive. Porn is porn. It is what it is. And there are people who you have never met and will never meet, have pulled the skin off themselves looking at you, and that's great. And that's wonderful. And, there will be people then who will see a fully clothed image of you just enjoying being a nerd and be like, I see a bit of myself in that, or that speaks to, like you said, that speaks to a part of me that I either do get to share with other people or I wish I could share with other people. And it's lovely. Now I'm no activist when it comes to that. I don't have my willy out so that I can lead the next charge. That's not why I'm doing it. But if there's anything we do that in any way makes somebody else happy, be it for, if we take my sex life, 47 seconds, including cry, or, if it's anyone else, that if it gives them a smile, I think we're doing good.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
so we, it may surprise you to know that we've done a little bit of research in preparation for this moment. So but the content that you're creating is very hot, but it is also, you're giving us some satire and comedy at the same time. Like the video that I watched this morning about applying to be Riker's houseboy is giving me like layers
Hilarious.
of Star Trek in jokes.
Yes.
And also I hope that somebody here gets this reference. You're giving me a little Coco Irene Cara from Fame moment. I don't know if anybody remembers this moment where she's like screen testing, right? And she's like maybe a little scared to take her top off. I was like, this is like very hot, but this is like golden and so witty. Like props.
Joe, that's right. I did.
Amazing.
So I like to think that I'm world experienced and everything. Yeah. So I'm useless when it comes to BDSM, right? I am interested, but in a way that I read the Wikipedia entry, right? So I said, look, I want to try and create content for everyone. I know what I'll do. And I decided that I would wear a Cardassian t-shirt and while performing, deliver some of Madred's best lines from Chain of Command. To this day, look, someone bought it and I'm delighted and I really hope they enjoyed it. This day, I'm just like, I don't know if that one probably landed.
Wait, was that like a special purchase? Was that like in the like
that was a special purchase book. So I remember at the time being like, do I have a fifth light? Hang on. And I was just like, I really hope a couple of people bought it and I really hope they enjoyed it. And it was like, there you go. That's my contribution to the BDSM community. I hope you enjoyed it.
That's amazing. Sorry, I'm taken aback by it. I love it.
Mike is speechless.
I'm speechless. I'm gonna go back to the script.
If Mike is like, am I gonna jerk off or am I laughing? I don't know what's happening.
Just imagine me.
So many itches being scratched at once. I don't know.
Just imagine me grinning, looking over you, going, "How many lights do you see?" The Irish accent.
It's great.
Jesus. Sorry.
Oh my God. Okay. Do you find that so of the content that we've enjoyed, not everything is Trek, based. On your and you do you find that the Trek content gets more traction than, say, content that doesn't include costumes? Like, do those things,
There,
get more likes or tips?
actually, that's a good. I think the Trek content tends to get more tips,
Yeah.
and I love that because it feels very personal.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like some of the less or not Trek at all related stuff, that if the more generic porn, if you
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
that tends to get shared more. So
Oh,
sometimes, funny enough, sometimes people can stumble into my Trek list
Oh.
because they've maybe found me through either a not themed at all porn video, or maybe something that's very lightly, maybe someone threw up a Vulcan gang sign at some point or something, but otherwise that would be kind of it. But that tends to get shared an awful lot more because it's funny when we talk about, like, say, talk about reviewing in general. You will have the comments that love what you have to say and the comments that hate what you have to say, and neither of those numbers will reflect the view count. And it's the silent majority are the ones who share, and they're the
sure.
ones who, that's how the video grows. And it's funny when it's exactly the same when it comes to porn. So if you go and take a deep breath and look at the comments on Pornhub, for one, you'll see an awful lot of very nice comments.
There are
People
comments
have
on
this, like,
Pornhub?
this.
I don't think I've ever
There are.
scrolled that far down.
Their
I think
comments
that's
on
usually.
all of their comments on all of them.
But yeah, you'll see, like, something that has crazy amount of views might have, maybe a couple of hundred comments, which is a lot of comments. And that tends to happen. So you share something on, well, it's still Twitter at the moment. Elongated Muskrat is doing his absolute best to shut that down.
Yeah.
But I do think that an awful lot of advertising still comes in through that. So we'll see. We'll see what the platform ends up becoming. But right now it's still Twitter. And you will have, maybe you put up a post and it might be, a snippet of a video. And of course your link will be there, and you'll get, I don't know, let's say it gets 100 likes and you might get 2 comments. Right. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier. You get that first comment might be like, you look this and you look that. And the second one might be like, this is amazing. And the third one will always be, there are hot singles in your area, we promise. And they are right around the corner. If you sign up to our, like, every bloody post.
Yeah.
But it's those ones that hit like, not necessarily the ones that comment. They're the ones that usually tend to share. So that's, it can be hard to gauge sometimes which is the content that does better. But yeah, in a really long and rambling point, it tends to be the ones that are not specifically themed are the ones that have a wider reach anyway. Because what happens if I'm dressed as Pike and, there's Spock over there and we're hammering it into each other, and that stumbles across someone who loves Luke Skywalker's page? They're like,
Sure.
well, I'm not watching Trek porn. That's not doing that at all, Whereas if it's Pike and Spock with their tops off, it's a bit more generic. It's a bit more accessible to everyone. So yeah, long story long. Tips tend to be personal. Generic videos tend to get a wider reach, but that brings you into my madness.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's funny when you say take the shirts off. Like, at some point, the niche goes away, and it's just like, naked people having sex. Like, like the characters kind of go away at some point, if depending on how much clothes are removed. I think I'm going to go off script a little and jump into the so I did this deep dive on the history of Trek porn. And so I'm going to go through some of this, and I would love us to discuss as we go. So first of all, we have to acknowledge that erotic literature featuring Star Trek characters has existed almost as long as the show. Erotic fan stories with Kirk and Spock as lovers created the whole slash fiction, the term Kirk slash Spock, back in the early 70s. In the 90s, in the heyday of, video stores having those back rooms that you had to ask about, to maybe I'm the only one old enough here to remember going into back rooms of VHS stores.
Really, Mike Jones? Really? Okay.
Oh, I know someone who had
Fun.
that at a garage sale, and I'm looking right at.
Went through the box.
Like, I see that part of the garage sale, and I'm taking it with me. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna find out later.
Exactly. $5, mine.
There was one of those.
I don't even care that it's so sticky.
No, do you know what it was? It was. Do you remember this? It was Interracial Auto Shop Gangbang 7.
Correct.
Oh
they
learned
destroyed.
We learned a lot.
I that was my first experience with rosebuds and how they're created, because this poor boy did not know that
the inside parts were on the outside.
Yeah, he didn't know.
It happens.
They said, "Hey, come on down. We'll give you $150." It was not worth that $150. Worth it for me to watch, not worth it for him to experience.
We all learned a lot that day, that summer in 2003.
Grand old time.
Well, somewhere in
Mike.
that bin of VHSs, there might have been there were a lot of poor parody films. They still make these, but films like Edward Penis Hands, things like that. So if you go back to 1990, Sex Trek: The Next Penetration by Moonlight Entertainment was an early Trek porn parody. They had sequels: Sex Trek: The Search for Sperm, Sex Trek: The Wrath of Bob, I don't know about that one, and Sex Trek: Deep Space Sex.
I could have done better with that title.
I haven't watched any of these actual films, but there is a YouTube video called
this morning.
Exactly.
I'll put a link to it in the comments. But it's basically, okay. I have to actually click it in my notes and see the title of the thing. It is called "Funniest Scenes from Star Trek Porn Parodies," and it's a lot of these early VHSs. And it's not. This is on YouTube, so it's not the porn part; it's the acting part.
Acting in air quotes for we nothing. Let me just say something. Porn's acting, it is some of the worst, best ever. Like, you're like, really? That's what you're saying? Oh, I've ordered a pizza. Oh, you're my pizza guy? Oh, come on in. Let me get your tip. Oh, it fell. I mean,
well, it's even worse with they try to give them technobabble to say, and really they don't know what they're saying
at all.
But now, this is not like blowing smoke up your ass, but Sean, I genuinely felt like you were applying to be Riker's houseboy. Like, it felt like real.
That is the truth.
Like, know the character.
Well, thank you. See, and this goes back to the kind of like, so Sean, how much preparation did you do? Well, when I was 6, I threw in the car park outside. That's when I started studying for this role, But I appreciate it. I love as well, like you talk about, like the acting people. These people don't know technobabble, much like every other Trek actor then ever. Right? They all talk about how difficult it is. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, funny when you don't have a camera.
My favorite is Tignataro, Jet Reno. I don't know if you've ever heard her speak about this, but she literally was a guest on the Tawny Newsome podcast, and she talks about it, and she's like never in the history of Star Trek has there ever been anybody so bad at learning the technobabble, and that she cannot. She's like, I can get 2 words out at a time, and they're like, this is impossible. You need to shut down the entire production just to get her through her scene.
The
Marilyn Monroe of Star Trek.
Yeah,
right. Needs a teleprompter. So, continuing through our journey through porn history, getting into the 2009 and the streaming world. These are titles that our listeners might have heard of. This Ain't Star Trek XXX. There was a lot of This Ain't movies. This Ain't Star Trek 3. There must have been a 2, but I didn't find that on IMDb. It's funny. At one point I was like, is there a porn version of IMDb? Yeah, it's IMDb. You can find a lot of adult films on there.
Yeah.
It's because they're films.
Because they're films, right? I mean,
they don't discriminate. They
just
tell you that what pornographic. That's
right.
it.
Probably the best one out there from a production perspective is Star Trek: The Next Generation, an XXX parody from Digital Sin. It was released in 2011. It has like really good sets, actually. Like, a lot of these films have kind of like an SNL level tier set where, or they have like the guy playing Sulu or Screw You is his name in one of them, right? Has like, a mixer, like a sound mixer in front of him, and that's his helm console,
Yeah.
They've stepped it up in some of these later ones. Although speaking of the name parodies, what were the other ones? There was Lieutenant
Lieutenant
Uhoryu.
Uhoryu.
Um,
Yeah, but then you'd also
Your face
it
is
didn't
so-
occur to me. He's like, I've heard this joke before. You all are. But it never occurred to me like how all the original cast characters have names that lend themselves so well to a porn parody name.
First Officer Cock.
there it is.
Or Mr. Sperm, they call it some, or
they do.
or
And
Boner.
there's also, because we believe in niche content, there's Chief Engineer Scatty.
Oh my god.
Listen, there's a kink for everything.
There is.
Okay,
There
all
really
she's
is.
got. And Ensign Jackoff.
Oh, of course, yeah.
That
right.
writes itself.
It writes itself.
In fact, and then like because we watched the little the string of the highlights of parodies, and to see that the first three original series parodies all used the same names for the characters.
Yeah.
It was they all had an Ensign Jackoff.
Different.
If I
different
could, though, I'd always
recast.
just leave it as Kirk. Because, like I say, actually, this is just Kirk's holodeck program. If there was
Right.
a way of getting away with it, it's been like, it's like, Mr. Sperm, you whore, you, Captain Kirk.
Now, I mean, I would put general question to put out there because we did an episode about shipping characters where Mike first sort of talked to us about the history of the Kirk Spock erotic literature and stuff. And I confess that my Star Trek life and my sex life were very compartmentalized away from each other, probably for probably a very long time. In fact, I don't think I had a real Star Trek crush until like kind of Pike and Spock, right in Stranger Worlds now. But did this kind of content appeal to you in your youth? Did you encounter this kind of stuff?
As in the porn parody?
As in the porn parody, as in the sort of Kirk Spock erotic fiction, as in like, that because to me that was like not even like in my mind. I mean, I guess I was like, getting my porn elsewhere and watching my Star Trek separately, but it never occurred to me to like
Marry the two
to
together.
imagine.
There's that
exactly.
Like Rule 34 or whatever. There's a porn version of everything if you just look online.
I suppose that's it. Like we were, when we were budding little horny humans. I mean, the internet, sure, it was there, but not like it is now.
Absolutely.
No.
Now, like if you think it, not only has someone made a porn to it, they've also gone to jail for it. There is, that's well done, human culture. But these things. I mean, I was actually not even aware of porn parodies probably well into the 2000s. And for the record, I was alive pre-2000, quite a while pre-2000 in fact. But yeah, I mean, I certainly knew it was a thing, but yeah, it was quite late on. And then I, like Mike said, like I would have seen a couple of them that are just like, I don't believe you've seen a day of Star Trek in your life. This isn't the Enterprise at all. This is the local laundromat, and you're calling it the engineering. You're just like, and then I would just I would just keep them completely separate. Now, obviously, I've married them all off, but she'd be a bit fucking rich be a bit rich if I didn't. But I've kind of married them all a bit more now.
Absolutely. It's funny with the next one on the list. Actually, it's not a very long list after this. Star Trek: A Gay XXX Parody from men.com from 2016. So it's the most recent on my list. So the thing that threw me, first of all, the acting is terrible, right? But they're wearing the wrong like uniforms with the wrong props. You know what I mean? Like different. They have like these Kelvin uniforms.
Yeah.
Uh,
You're like, Data doesn't wear blue. Like, what? What do you?
Y'all get so mad about it. It's so funny to me. Like Damien on the very short treks being like, those are the wrong uniforms. We are not in that universe.
Out of the video. Oh. I'll just go, okay, it doesn't seem too bad. Sorry, I'm literally, just for the purposes of people who are listening to this, I'm just looking through the thumbnails for it now.
oh, are you? Okay.
Okay,
love
all right.
That's
I believe those
hilarious.
men are very good friends.
Yes, they've go way back. Yeah, the guy playing Captain Kirk has
they do.
earrings.
Sorry.
Wait, are you looking at the men.com one?
I did, yeah, but
Yeah.
there's only the clip there, so I'll watch it after.
I know, because that could probably actually be good porn.
Almost all of these, the captain's chair is just an office chair. Like that's all it is.
Yeah, I do see that. I was like, oh crap, is that like? Hang on, can I mute this for the purposes of not going through the recording?
That'd just be hilarious.
It's like,
I mean, we put up a content warning.
Right.
In this.
Who cares?
This is wrong phaser.
That is not why you're watching it. You're not watching it to critique.
Well, it takes me out of the scene.
Because
they have a trailer that's on YouTube that's you know.
I love as well. So the parody laws are hilarious, right? So I love the fact that obviously it's a gay XXX parody. Bit light on the comedy. But by the laws of parody, as long as it's a parody, you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But I did say I like the uniforms though. So obviously they were leaning into the whole Kelvin universe, which is fine.
Yes.
So point to the original series phaser. These are the things that matter.
Right? Exactly. The wrong props. There's some L cars in the background. Like, come on, people.
I cannot stand y'all.
What I want to know is, we may have seen you use a phaser as a sex toy. What model phaser was it, and what show was it out of? That's what I really want to know.
So actually, funnily enough, and so my main platform is OnlyFans. Right, that is where like
that's what I confess that I looked at just for fans because I tend to gravitate to that.
Well,
I like it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's like, what's the difference?
You've actually made the point I was going.
Other topic, Mike.
Fans wouldn't allow it because it was being used in lieu of another thing, and OnlyFans.
Wait, we can say penis.
No, right? Okay, cool. It's being used. It was being used instead of a cock. And so that was grand, zoomed in everything, thinking this is going to be nice and sexy, whatever, a bit silly as well. So even though it's like, permanent internal damage, but who cares?
It was on stun.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, sorry, it was the Cobra head from DS9 and Voyager. I think that's the Cobra head.
Excellent.
The bendy one.
I knew that was, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
First contact.
Yes. So I did that and then, edited the video and uploaded and everything, and OnlyFans straight away demonetized, take it down. I was like, what have I done?
Wait. Please explain why.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Because people stick all sorts of things up their butt on OnlyFans. No?
So in their terms and conditions. So I think it's really important though. So I'm actually not even having a dig at OnlyFans to say this. It's really important to remember OnlyFans is not a porn platform. It just was immediately taken over by sex workers, but it wasn't designed as one, which is why I think if you think back to I think it was it was 2021, and they announced that we're taking all adult, we're going to pull a Tumblr, we're going to take all adult content off the platform. And then they looked at what their sales were going to be, and someone had an absolute crap attack, and so we're going to leave it there. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Yeah, it's grand. We're going to lose 90%
doing what you're doing.
Business. But they did then come out with, I think, reasonable T's and C's. They're restrictive, but they're not too restrictive. But one of the things is that anything you are using to insert in lieu of another person effectively needs to obviously resemble either a dildo or quite obviously be a sex toy. Now of course you can appeal these things, but remember you're dealing with an auto strike, as opposed
Right.
to, like if we were talking here, it'd be like, okay, this is what this is and this is why we're doing it. I'm sure that's fine, But what they saw was, right, you're sticking something that's not meant. You're sticking something up there that's not meant to go there.
Right. A child's toy.
You have blown my mind with this. I'm so
And there's also, so in every single video that ever features a phaser or a DAC tag, you have to put a tag, and this makes perfect sense, fake weapon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because so I think it was
those real phasers. You don't want to.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, you don't want to accidentally vaporize yourself.
Alec Baldwin situation.
That thing where you stun your arm and then you try and jack off with it so it feels like someone else is doing it.
No, is that something that you all do?
Wait. No, he just described a perfectly normal thing. It's
What are you talking about?
I'm sorry, Sean, explain it again.
No, I know. I understand what he said. You're saying I'm asking. You're talking about a perfectly normal thing. Like everybody has a stun gun and says, you know what? I want it to feel like it's not me, so I'm going to electrocute my arm, and then it's not me. It's like someone who doesn't have an arm putting a mirror there so they can then look and see the reflection and feel like they have an arm again. That's not perfectly.
You don't have to use a stun gun. You can just like lay on it so it goes to sleep.
Reasonable, no?
So lose the feeling. So lay on your arm until it loses the feeling, and then you can use it.
Right.
Y'all are wild.
Stranger.
I'm gonna say she was much more GGG 20 years ago when we were watching Auto Shop Gangbangs.
Let's be clear. I am always GGG. This is new news. Like I would never think to be like, I want to feel like it's someone else. No, it's me, and that's it.
It was all the rage during lockdown. It was like, I feel like someone else is in my space.
Well, I can see that for the people who didn't cohabitate with another person that they were intimately involved with,
or the people who did and couldn't stand them.
Touche.
I
think everyone might have a variation on that story at some point.
Well, I think every couple that succeeded somehow through COVID had that moment, even if they, even if they came out the other side. I feel like we all had that moment with somebody. So
I think so. Yeah. And also, to everyone who survived lockdown together, I genuinely applaud you. And it sounds sarcastic, but it isn't. Like, not an easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks right. So, Just for Fans is a platform that was set up by sex workers. So the initial T's and C's are much more. It's funny. They're both much more specific, but they're also much broader. So where on OnlyFans, for example, if you're going to do like a bondage video, you must keep 2 limbs free, right? In the video, doesn't matter if you start the video with "Hello, my name is and I consent." It doesn't matter. So there must be 2 limbs free, and then. It would never be the situation, but if it was that situation where someone needed to escape, they could. And then basically OnlyFans can say, we're not hosting content that is somebody being held against their will. And so I can totally understand where they're coming from.
Right.
Where you might have a variation on that rule on Just for Fans, which would account for the BDSM community an awful lot better.
Yeah.
So that has been a minefield, an interesting one. But a minefield of going, right, what can I do? What can't I do? What can I show? What should I just delete from my thoughts altogether? It's never going to fly. And because I concentrate, I mean, as you rightly said, I have a Just for Fans account, but to say I'm bad at multitasking, so.
Well, maintaining so many platforms already to have like literally 2 with totally different set of rules has got to be a mindfuck.
Right.
And it's so I've chosen I'm going to follow the OnlyFans rules and I'm going to concentrate on OnlyFans because at least I know what I'm at. I could make the argument that they didn't specifically say you couldn't use phasers, but I couldn't then say that. Well, see, they did say that you've got to. It's kind of obviously got to be a sex toy, and this wasn't obviously a sex toy. So
what if the phaser was on a stick? What if you made a dildo phaser? Could you then use it? Because I mean, they have dolphin dildos, like.
And we know that a dildo on a stick is many times more aggressive than just a dildo.
Oh, I've just thought dolphin dildos, they must have whale dildos, which means I'm going to order one. I'm going to make a porn parody called Sex Trek 4, the one with the whales.
Oh,
There
George
you
and
yes.
go.
Gracie.
Can I just have
George and
5%?
Gracie.
Yes, you can.
I just need 5%.
Yes, you can. So for
That's
every
it.
legal letter I get, 5% can go to you.
That's amazing. Or what are the porpoises on lower decks that they're not
Yeah.
yeah,
Cetacean
Funny.
operations.
cetacean
Yeah.
ops, those guys. Well, I mean, they're, the first time we see them, they're hitting on um
Rutherford with his
Rutherford.
big,
Yeah, you and
big
your
tired
sweaty shoulders come take a
Oh,
dive with us. Like they're into it. They're
Oh, they
GG.
so are. They like,
Uh,
yeah. But all we've learned from them as well is whatever you do, take your shoes off.
yes,
that looks
obviously.
dirty.
I don't know. That's sorry, random point. That's
Hmm.
one thing that I know some people must love footwear. It's a whole thing. Whenever I see people on a bed, I'm like, take off your shoes.
Oh
Take
yeah.
off your shoes.
Take off your shoes.
I can't
Why
stand.
have you
Now,
left
you
your
want to talk
shoes
about
on?
taking somebody out of it? Your shoes are on the bed. You're in your outside clothes on the bed.
Yeah, it's like
What
we
is
live in New York
happening?
City. Like swab the bottom of my foot after a day in the
Oh
city and tell
God,
me what you
no,
find. You know, like no.
no. You don't see that in Asian porn. They
That
don't
is
wear their
true.
outside shoes inside,
Nope. Come right in the
That-
front door.
and they're
Right there.
smart to not.
You see a lot of other things in Asian porn though. Different topic.
Where did I
That's
leave
true.
that tentacle?
That's true.
Uh,
Do you think that there's a connection between nerddom and kink? Speaking of BDSM,
yes.
well, like what do you think that is? What like
I think like kink obviously has the sexual connotation that it does, but if you just look at it as niche, probably is as good a word here in this context because because yourself being a nerd doesn't mean you like every single aspect of
Correct.
nerddom. Some people easy one Trek Wars, some people are, Pokemon anime. Should they even fall under the same umbrella heading as arguably yes, arguably no? So kink it's what you like,
Yeah.
be it in a horny way or be it in a slightly less horny way, I guess. And like that's so what, like when I say I'm going to make Star Trek related porn, I've like it is kink, but I've always called it its niche. I always say it's niche. This is the niche I'm going to go for. And it's also because it's what I know. I mean, like someone could say, "Hey, Sean,
Right.
do a Star Wars porn parody," but like I haven't a clue what I'm doing.
It's like a writer. They
All
say
you-
write
all
what
you
you
need is-
know.
all
Yeah,
you
I'm
need
gonna
is a
blow
fake-
all these midi chlorians all over your face. Like I believe that everyone that makes everyone happy, right?
All you need is a lightsaber, and you're good to go. There will be no taking that down. Just little lightsaber, blue, red.
As long as you work in the phrase "I have a bad feeling about this," then you're good to go.
I like to make that my finishing noise in every video, regardless. I'll start with "make it so." I'll end with "I've got a bad feeling about
this. Oh my god. Well, I think you're exactly right. I think that it's I think it has something to do with community and finding ourselves, and being a nerdy kinkster myself, finding the nerd community and the Star Trek community is it's nice to look at that and be like, oh, I'm not alone. In the days before the internet, you could be a Star Trek nerd, and unless you had friends who were into it, you like, am I the only one who really likes this? You know what I mean? But nowadays we tend to find each other and gravitate towards each other. And kink is the same way. It's like, oh, I'm not the only one who likes this. Other people like this. So I think that the two do kind of feed into each other. It's another aspect that niches that I think that there's definitely crossover. The burlesque world often has not often, but well, often, yeah. Some like there's the Hotty Totty burlesque in New York does a Star Trek thing. There's one in Louisville called Deep Space Trek 69 that is a drag burlesque show. I mean, come
Look
on.
at Damien, road trip. Damien's like, road trip.
Oh, Louisville. And then drag, I mean, this isn't really sexual content, but I mean, drag itself is its own queer,
Oh yeah.
world. And
Mhm.
there's the people in New York at Barracuda
Too
Lounge, the To
Too
Proudly
boldly
Go.
go. Too bold
Yeah,
should probably go. Yeah. It's the Dr. Crusher Janeway cosplay drag is like
amazing.
on point. Yes. With the blue overcoat and everything. It's great. It's great.
I love it. That's like, because there's amazing Dr. Crusher cosplay, but I always like just the jacket, just that little bit. That's just the cherry on top is having the jacket as well. And if you want to really blow people's mind, have her holding a candle.
Oh yes. I love that Gates McFadden, someone gave her like a 3D printed ghost candle with like a green thing at a
Yeah,
convention, and then she took pictures of it everywhere around Vegas or whatever.
it was Vegas 21 was there.
Yeah.
It was so funny because she just leans into it.
Yeah, why not?
And
I mean, you
it's
gotta
not
have
even
a
so
sense of humor at this point.
absolutely. But actually, I have a brilliant one. So on a podcast a couple of years ago, we had Duncan Regeer. So we had Sex Candle himself was on the
Oh,
podcast, and
wow.
I didn't even have to bring it up. He said, kind of like, oh, welcome. And it says, yeah, he's a very deep thinker as well. He's definitely an actor. And I said, I do remember my time on Star Trek. I believe they call me Sex Ghost.
Yes.
And I was like, this is amazing. Shakar is calling himself Sex Ghost. This is brilliant. It was so much fun. Everyone, well, not everyone, of course, but everyone who had the opportunity and enjoyed their time on Trek and enjoyed the nonsense that we as a community will sort of put on them. It's great when you see that they do enjoy that and they do lean into that. And one day we'll get that lovely picture of Denise Crosby next to just a drum of oil. That will be awesome as well. I just can't wait.
We've never covered that topic on this podcast. We somehow every time we record it comes back to Team Tasha or Team Armis.
Team Armis all the way.
Yeah, she's Team Armis hardcore.
Go.
But you sort of raised another question. What's your convention life like these days? Do you like? Are you a big convention guy?
I want to be more than I am. So basically, it's kind of starting. So my first convention, my first Trek convention was Destination Star Trek 2021. That was in London, and it was everyone was still a bit kind of jumpy. Everyone masks on, not so much social distancing, but being aware of everything. So it was sort of a weird experience. It was still a lovely community experience because we were all kind of jumpy together. Well, that was the first one. The second one then was Star Trek Las Vegas 2022. So talk about extreme to extreme. And that was incredible. I was actually there. I was working with a group while I was there, which meant we had a base for a while, which was cool. So you got to people watch for so long, and that was brilliant. And I really, really enjoyed that. And also, I think anyone who's done conventions are tiring. They're brilliant and they're wonderful and they're everything, but you're tired at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to kind of cheat and have a table, and be like, I can sit down for a while.
You come to me.
Right.
I would never presume, but I'm on line 3, aisle 24. No.
It's funny because I used to go to conventions when I was a little kid. Like I had a convention friend and who probably like sniffed out that I was a little queer, who would scold me every once in a while and be like, can we just limit our conversation to Star Trek, please? But that but yeah, as I have leaned back into my fan life, and we all have been doing this. I have our little crew and stuff. That has been the appeal to that has grown. So I'm trying to round up the troops to go to the DNI Con in Philly. So we'll see if we can actually.
Absolutely.
That like I know for a fact that'll be awesome. Obviously their first year went really well. They've made learnings and everything from the first year, so I think the second year is going to be great again. Plus, I think having Kate Mulgrew as a headliner is a pretty good, draw.
For sure. For sure. In fact, I think I learned about that listening to your podcast. You had Dan Devey on.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, we should look into that. And we never made it happen. But now it's like, now we have time. So
Nice. I know, like D&I kind of. I wasn't able to go this year, but I had a few friends that went as well, and they were like, "It's just great. It's just a bunch of, gays and days walking around, but everyone's being a Trekkie at the same time."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've moved in so many Star Trek gay circles for so long. He's describing a Tuesday to me, and he's like, no, this is brilliant, and it's lots of fun. And they did a thing, I think, which was really interesting, and I think it really worked. They've refined it a little bit this year, but I think it really worked. Is that they're the little breakout groups. So you'd have somebody with a group would come up and do a talk on stage, and Voyager maybe, but then they would do like you would do, like, okay, everyone in class, get into your groups of 5 and do a project. And Robert Picardo would sit with maybe 10 people, and Tim Russ would sit with 10 people. So you didn't have that distance, that just. And of course, nobody's fault. There's a distance, just the nature of conventions. But that was removed by doing this, and I thought that was a good idea. They've refined it a little bit this year because I think they were stuck with a room that didn't have great sound or something like that. But they've fixed that. So yeah, I think it's gonna be really good. Yeah, and I'm just gonna turn off my advertisement there. But no, it'll be really, really good. But yeah, this year I've got coming up. I am at Vegas, 2024. I will be at Trek Long Island, which is funny because I'm going and I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know who's there. I'm just looking forward to being there.
Long Island. Well, I guess
Hop Hog. It's in Hop Hog.
Oh, God bless you.
Aaron lives in Long Island, right?
She does, yeah.
Well, okay, this is, by the way, Sean, this is a running thing where Mike has no idea where the rest of us live.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
He's like, Lenita, you live in Brooklyn? She's like, I live in New Jersey. What are you talking about?
Well, never lived in Brooklyn, only on weekends when my friends live there.
Oh, gosh.
Do you find that you get recognized at the conventions for your alt content, or both, or not?
Actually, funny no, not so much my alt content, but there's a couple of funny times where there was a lovely fella came up to me. So this was my very first con. This was back in London, and came up to me and was so lovely. He was Irish guy as well, and he was lovely to meet you. Thank you so much. And we were taking a picture, and he just leans over and says, "You have a lovely dick, by the way." And I was just like, yeah, that's it. That's my story of the convention. That is my story of the convention.
So polite.
I mean, everyone wants to hear that.
But leaned over as not to like broadcast it out loud, because did not, like, even though yes, you're doing porn, doesn't mean that in every room you want to be like, that's me, I'm the guy with his dick online. But the fact that he was just very respectful, like, that's perfect. Awesome.
Well, perfect. And what's really funny is that we met on this Zoom 2 minutes before we started, but I've known you as a presenter in a way, and I said this as we started, that because I have seen so much of your content, that I see you here and I feel like I already know you, and like I said, I don't, but that I knew you as a presenter first, and then Twitter, the algorithm clearly knows me, right? And so I discovered your alt, and I was like, there's something about, like, because we all have, we all know people with alts, or we've all like discovered someone's alt that is like literally secret, right? And I had this moment of like, I've discovered his secret, right? And it's like, clearly, like, it's your face and you're gonna start it. It is not a secret, but it like feels like, when you see someone's like alter ego, it feels very sort of charged that way, naughty.
Absolutely.
Also, I need to say thank you to my advertising team, because they are following every single person they can. Like, hey, you've got a Twitter? Here, watch my Twitter. Watch it. Well done. They've done a good job.
Good.
But yeah, so no, it wouldn't be what most people have said hello to me. Normally don't do it because of that. It kind of, it, forgive the pun, slips in at one point or another. But or I might get a DM. What happens a lot is I will get a DM on my alt, and it will be people talking about maybe a video they've just seen on YouTube, and I'll be like, oh yeah. And for a little while, that actually did kind of like, oh yeah, of course, yeah, because that was the other thing as well. From day one, I mean, sure, alt Trekkie or Prince Trek, whatever I'm going by these days, but it was always me. Yeah. I never hid my face. I never, because I knew as well. First of all, internet sleuths move faster than anyone.
Anybody. Yep.
Oh, sure.
So there was no point of trying to hide because then you've just been found.
There wouldn't.
Like,
There
well,
wouldn't.
why are you hiding? What are you like? That's the thing. If you're upfront about it, it's like, here I am in all of my full face glory.
I've not had many, but sorry.
No, I was gonna say I personally had such a slow like slide into naughty content that at no point did I stop to think like, should I be making another name for myself? So that literally everything became like attached to my actual name. And then actually the nickname that Lenita gave me many years ago, like she met me and she's like, Damien, I'm gonna call you Damazon. And then it was like that still calls me that, right? And I was like,
yeah.
And then years later I was like, maybe that's what I should like call my like alt name, right? And it, stuck for a minute for as long as that part of my life lasted. But yeah, it is funny how people think that they,
So you're saying if we search for Damazon, that is no longer an account?
You can find my actual name easier than you can find that. At a certain point, someone like found a stash of naked pictures of me, and it was on Tumblr with my full ass name. I'm like, oh, there we go. I guess.
Well,
there goes my political career.
Yeah, please, you were never going to have one of those. I mean, at one point in your life, you were taking nice, naked photos, and I got to see them randomly at dinners,
like art gallery photos.
Yes, very tasteful.
I stumbled onto those on Tumblr, R.I.P. Tumblr.
Yes.
But and I remember I like texted you or next time I saw you, I was like, by the way, I saw you naked.
Yeah, no, I got a lot of that, or I would get that from friends to be like, because it was like not really in those days on Tumblr especially, it was just like you'd scroll your feed and whatever like popped in. So people were like, I literally was like at home like enjoying like a solo session and you popped up and I did not invite you.
Are you saying that you got naked in front of someone's salad?
Yes, not in front of my salad. Yes. She was famous for a minute, wasn't she?
Oh my god,
she was. She had a whole line of merch and everything about it. Like, you made this work. Oh,
they leaned into the not right in front of my salad. So I don't think we've quite hit this on the nail yet. What do you think it is about this crossover in content? Does it lean into the escapism? Is it just fueling fantasies that people have about actors, like people who are really attracted to Ethan Peck, for example, that leans them into, I mean, maybe I'm speaking for myself.
Just safe space. Right. Totally fine.
Yeah. He's a beautiful man. What do you think?
I can only speak to my personal opinion. I think it's less about the actors. I think it's about the world that we create ourselves with our own fandoms, with what we love, and then it's about not having like Damien, you spoke earlier on about having that compartmentalization, having that separation between, say, your Trek and your porn life. It's about not having to have a barrier because there's nothing to look at, or there's, kind of, I'm never going to see a Starfleet uniform in a porn video, or if it is, it's going to be, everyone's holding the wrong phasers or something like that. And the only thing that I set out to do is I knew what I wanted to see. I want to see, if I want to see, men, women, or, non-binary, and anything, like, I want to see a little bit of authenticity. So, by all means, make the uniform. I don't care about, the stitch count on it, but try and have a bit of fun, but keep it in that world. And that way I know that me as a Trekkie, let alone anything else, I now have, a little bit of a sexy thing that I can watch, and, and my own brain will maybe invent a scenario. They might name drop the Romulans or I haven't gone near the Borg. No one has the budget to do the Borg. Okay, not important. But maybe to do the Romulans or Klingons, although we're going back toward budget because no one's doing the 60s Klingons again. We're not.
They're a terrible choice. Terrible choice.
They were, but don't worry, it's not racist. It was Orient Brown. Yeah, that's fine, right?
It was. Oh yeah, exactly. Cringe all the way. I know the 60s. Good times.
Yeah. So, And yeah, and then your brain will fill it, like say, oh, wasn't that a terrible battle of blah 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 blah? And I'll be like, I know what that battle looked like. Jesus, you must be tired. Oh, what your commanding officers are being really nice, helping you get off. Oh, that's great, And I can only speak for myself. So that's what I think when you get very very niche kink content. I think it supplements. And maybe that's a very utopian way of going. Sure, there's ones that be like, slap him in a uniform and then slap him round the arse. I don't care. Make money, and there's a valid thing for that as well. But this crossover, this not having to have such a barrier, and not having like, imagine a convention where on the main floor we had. We can sell the action figures and the uniforms. We talk to people that within reason, let's keep it age appropriate, but within reason, we don't have to lock kink and porn away in another room.
You can sell the phaser that doesn't cause internal damage.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't do what I did. Don't get the hard plastic one. I was so annoyed.
Well, you can be your same authentic self in all parts of your life, as opposed to having to code switch.
Yeah.
Well, he said, but yeah, 100%. And look, everyone will bring themselves to it. And maybe some people will get off on having it secret and don't want to talk about this. Absolutely fine. We've had secret interests for as long as we've had interests. But we're also, and I'm assuming in this conversation that we're all adults and we can kind of have a conversation that may feature sexuality as much as it does warp cores and, transporters. And that's fine. And that is, I think, at least some people making this kind of content, certainly myself among them, where it's so that we can have a laugh about this. Because also, anyone who has made any kind of adult content will tell you how funny it is. It is the most ridiculous thing in the world because you've got 1, 2, whatever many cameras. People fart, people burp, people slip and slide. All of this happens. Someone, I don't know, I just imagine. And sometimes that's as much fun as anything else. And, you're talking about, did you see the, men.com did the sexy thing? It's like, hey, it's great. Yeah. Did you remember the time that when he fell off the table?
Porn bloopers are hilarious.
Porn bloopers. Oh my god! If I could do a career on porn bloopers alone, I'd do it. Like it's so much fun.
Maybe that's a side thing. The little extra content. You like?
Oh yeah.
Do you want to see the bloopers of your favorite scenes?
Save up a blooper reel for the season.
Gag reel, but I'm sure that means something different in porn.
Oh well, yeah, that's a different. That's for the just for fans.
Keep that a yo
fans. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. You've been with us. You've been so generous with your time, but I do have a few final questions that we kind of ask everybody.
Where are the bodies? Yeah.
Oh, where are the bodies? Right.
In the closet with the uniforms. Go ahead.
Okay. The first one I think lends itself to the conversation we've already been having, and answer this how you will, but we ask this of multiple people. If you had a holodeck, what program would be your favorite?
Vulcan Love Slave 2.
Excellent. Would that be on the planet of Vulcan?
Oh Lord, no! I was talking about kind of how I don't do well at like altitude and everything, and there's less oxygen on Vulcan anyway. No. We'll do that. Yeah, give me.
It seems like a recipe for a sunburn, if you ask me. Also,
right.
Oh my
excellent.
Goodness, that's great.
If you had a replicator sitting next to you right now, what would you order?
Is it like in general right now or right now?
Right now.
Beer.
Beer.
I'm a simple man in that respect. Yeah, I love a beer. None of this synthahol nonsense.
Oh,
I would never.
No,
And,
I'm not drinking
Sean,
O'Doul's.
No. And what's your beer of choice, Sean?
I'm fairly straightforward. I mean, I'm most lagers. And I've learned I'm gonna get kicked out of Ireland. I don't really like Guinness.
Really?
You can drink my Guinness if you like.
Oh,
I will. Oh, I will. It is
Amazing.
if it's on tap, that's what I'm drinking.
If that's how we're going to call it, then yes, absolutely, it's on tap, and that's no problem at all. Yeah.
real beer.
So if you're having your beer with 3 characters, not the actors, the characters, who would it be and why?
Oof. I suppose you'd have to have Spock.
Which Spock?
Ooh.
I mean, I know I said not the actors, but the character kind of changes.
Yes.
Can I 2-vix him into like, you know, all 3 of them? Joe, I will say, and legit, because I feel he gets forgotten an awful lot. I'll have a Kelvin Spock. I thought Quinto nailed it.
Well, he's amazing.
Let's see. All right, that's either 1 or 3. What else we got? It's got to be someone from DS. I'd have Cisco back. I'd be like, all right, how are you getting on? Why didn't you come back yesterday like you promised? So yeah, and just, you know, kind of discuss group. And oh hell, actually, 2-vix.
Strong choice.
Wow.
I'm like, as
you're
like,
cheating. You're getting as many.
I've got like this massive tabletop of all the things. But that's all right. Amazing. Cisco won't turn up anyway.
And our final question.
Mike Jones said once that 2-vix should have replaced Tuvok and Neelix. They should have just kept 2-vix.
He was a more interesting character.
Yeah,
I would have loved to see if they would find a way to keep them, but at the same time, too many jokes exist because of how Janeway straight up. Listen, Janeway murdered him.
Straight
That's
up.
it. Yeah, you're all just letting this happen. Yes, and we're drinking cocktails while it's happening.
Janeway didn't mess around.
Yeah, makes me so happy.
And our last question that we ask everyone, what is your stance on Dr. Kate Pulaski? Maybe I'm the only one who cares about this.
Yes.
This is a personal issue for Mike Jones.
Can you give me 20 seconds and I'll answer that question?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, stay there. 20 seconds.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh. This is
right. If he comes back with the Pulaski blow up doll.
Or the like the
uniform,
the special uniform, the old lady uniform.
The pants scant.
Justice for Pulaski.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And she has the standard uniform, not the old lady version.
Yes, the Playmates toy. In fact, it's probably just like the Troy toy with a different head.
Almost 100%. Yeah, I'd say, yeah. So the reason I'm so excited, actually, I'm really excited you asked me that, is because just this last trip in Denver gone, I went to Mile High Comics, all right, free advertising.
Yes.
And there she was. I'm like, yoink.
That's so awesome.
Anyway, I hate her. I absolutely hate her. I thought she was really good. The problem was that they tried to do Kirk and Bones again, and it didn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
That was it's as simple as that, because, and I know obviously there was issues behind the scenes as well, but and there was this continual misnaming of Data. It was they were writing a 60s script in the 80s, and it just didn't work.
I think if the season 3 and 4 writers had been able to get a hold of her character, she would have been redeemed from those flaws. Because I think the genesis of the character was good. But not everybody.
We somehow always every time we record, we devolve into arguing either about Kate Pulaski or Tasha Yar. So we've checked the box.
We've covered both. We've checked them off. I think that means we're done.
That means we're done. Oh, but no, wait. We have to ask you the question that just a little light question, just not really a big one. What does Star Trek mean to you? I lifted that off of his podcast.
Wonderful. Now, because
I've heard you ask that so many times, but I don't think I've ever heard you answer that.
Star Trek to me is home. It's I know it's hokey, but it's home because there is like a house with, say, Star Trek's got 900 hours, so a house with 900 rooms. You're going to have a room that's your favorite. You're going to have a room that you feel great in. You'll have a room that you don't like. There'll be the one that gets the draft of wind or something like that. But, if you're lucky, the people who mean most to you live in that home. And I get that with Star Trek. So there is truly, truly no part of Star Trek that I intensely dislike. There's bits I like more than others, of course. I mean, everything before 2017 is awful. But yeah, just like remake it all.
Wow.
I
Hot
like what they're doing in
Wow.
Strange
Hot
New
take.
Worlds. Page 1
That's
rewrite.
a hot take.
Yeah.
Well, and that home may or may not have a sex dungeon.
Well,
Oh, it does. Oh, it does. May or may not.
Mine
Who are
does.
we talking to?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like to get in through the door, you need to really make Empress Giorgio smile.
Oh my Lord.
That is,
I have to think on that one.
yeah, that's a rough going right there. Oh, you
It
know,
can be if you ask.
not so bad. You just have to sacrifice a Saru and you're good to go.
A Kelpian.
Kelpian.
Four
Yeah.
of them in a cage in the next room. It's fine. Do you want one? I've got some spare.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can our listeners find you?
So in the nature of everything, right? So my fun Twitter is at AltTrekkie, and then my less fun, often soapboxy Twitter is at Sean Ferrick. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Blue Sky. I am dreadful at multitasking, but I assure you I am there. I have a TikTok, but I wouldn't worry about it. And of course, OnlyFans at Prince Trek. And there is a Just for Fans if you want to see it, Prince Trek as well.
Excellent. Well, I hope that everyone has enjoyed our time with Sean today and our look at the saucier side of Trek. If you have enjoyed the episode, please leave us a 5-star review where you're listening to this. And you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Hailing Freak Only, or at our webpage, hailingfrequenciesopen.com. And I think with that, I'll say, Hailing Frequencies closed.
No goodbyes. Just good memories. Hailing Frequencies closed, sir.